So I am on day 6 of kind of doing this challenge of, it's not a challenge, it's kind of just a way to open up my communication with the spirit world. And I'm kind of asking questions to my guardian angel, my spirit guides, to kind of get a bit more information on how they communicate with me, what lessons I need to know at the moment, and kind of how messages come through. And today feels like a really strange day because things have looped together. So basically, as I was falling asleep last night, I was thinking about the term surrender. And basically, I'm someone who constantly has to find meaning in something. It's the way I'm built. And I've always learned, or somewhere along the line, I've learned that effort has to go into things. You have to be productive. You have to keep going. And then this week, obviously, I've not felt 100%. And obviously, the kind of theme of earlier in the week was listen to your body. And this burnout and this concept of like, you always have to keep doing something. And then it popped into my head last night as I was falling asleep about like surrender, and how for me that is a really alien concept. And a lot of spiritual people will tell you it's about surrendering to the universe, surrendering your experience. And for a lot of us who borderline on control freak, maybe, and maybe not, we like to know things. We like to be able to control what's going to happen. We like to have plans. And that's not necessarily because you're an uptight person. Where that comes from is because you've never had safety. So you've had to mitigate your life. You've had to manage other people's emotions. You've had to keep the train going. You absorb other people's emotions. You absorb their worries, and you're a fixer. So you tend to become very empathetic, hypervigilant if you've grown up in those environments. But it also means you've had to take the reins for a long time of, I need to keep everything working. And for me, it's always been a weird sense that I have to earn things that I cannot receive. So the surrender thing came to me as I was falling asleep last night. And I was like, well, surrendering to receive seems a bit wild. So I just kind of forgot about that this morning. And then I had therapy. And we were talking about kind of this big romantic cycle that I've ended, and how it's interesting because I said, I know I'm starting to heal from this situation because I'm embarrassed that I accepted this, and I can really see in a neutral space how this person didn't embody any of the qualities that I want. And I've always been very clear about what I want. I kind of was clear. This person came in. I suppressed that, and then I had to get to a point where what I wanted cropped back up again and again and again, to the point where I was like, this isn't going to work. And then having the space to reflect, it's like I always knew in my body sensations and in what I wanted that this wasn't aligned. But it goes to a deeper place of, it ties to your self-worth, and it ties to, again, what I talked about of trying to manage and move things along. So we kind of acknowledge that it happened at a really strange time where my self-worth was that I thought that I deserved things that were hard work. So the therapist talked today about, why does everything have to be a challenge, and how does ease feel like for you? Why do things have to be earned? And I was talking about, it's all I've ever known is working for love and affection, working for recognition, working for money, or whatever it is. So this mindset is that I've always had to work for it. And so when this person kind of entered my life, I recognized that person straight away because they reflected everything I've ever brought into my life, which is work and earning and plugging into somebody, trying to heal them, trying to fix them, trying to manage them. That is a pattern of mine. So it was interesting because she was talking about ease, and she's like, what is it like to kind of surrender controlling something, to let it just breathe? And I was like, well, that's really interesting, because last night surrender popped into my head, surrendering, and how I'm not good at surrendering because I always grip things tightly, because that's kind of how I've managed my life, that things have to be earned. And I think it comes from a self-worth thing. Do you feel worthy enough to just receive without having to do something, earn it? And a lot of people might have been brought up in households like that. If you're the firstborn is the sense that you have to do things. If you're a people pleaser, you've learnt that. You've kind of learnt that you have to earn things, earn love, earn money, earn opportunities. And I think a lot of us can relate that that's a big block, this kind of the idea of surrendering and not putting in effort and just getting it because you deserve it seems like an alien concept. Because, you know, for someone like me, if someone turned around and sent me an email tomorrow and said, you have won a holiday to the Maldives, you don't have to pay a penny, just turn up, I would have crippling guilt about that. I wouldn't feel worthy. So I know it's a deeper wound that I'm working through. And then anyway, we talked about that, and she kind of said, what I think you should do is maybe write down what you invite into your space. Now you know that you've invited at some point or other energetically things that were not aligned with you, out of some weird concept that you deserved hard work or you deserved another energetic challenge. Why don't you invite in what you know you desperately want now, which has never changed, which is kind of healthy, reciprocal, respectful love. And then for my challenge today, my question was, what blocks my trust right now spiritually? What blocks me trusting the universe? And again, it kind of comes to this surrendering as well. It kind of was all coming together. And the first thing that kind of came into my head was fear. And then it was kind of not feeling good enough or worthy enough to receive. This surrendering, this receiving, these themes were all kind of popping out. And what's really interesting is, like, spiritually, I'm trying to learn the art of surrendering, because as someone who manages everything, has kind of managed my connections, my relationships, I kind of have that feeling of being independent, but as a result of managing everything. I had a very precise and specific expectation of what my connection spiritually would be. And I think surrendering is accepting that your spiritual relationship to your spirit guides is unique, and it will not come in the formation that you anticipate. Now, what I mean by that is, like, it's very obvious you're not just going to suddenly, you know, get messages at 3 a.m, like, Beth, you must do this, like some holy voice, right? I've never expected that, but I've expected, based on the pattern that I have in life of, like, progressing and growing and it getting better, and I'm learning more and things happening. But it's a very organic process where messages will be subtle. You might feel disconnected at points, but it's because there's other things or there's other messages coming through. And the way that they come, the messages are through different vessels. And sometimes it's like a very neutral message that you will intuitively know how to interpret. And it might be in dreams and different things, but it's kind of like the surrender thing that came to me last night was almost like a message of surrender to the process. Stop trying to second guess it. Stop trying to speed ahead. Stop trying to become an expert at something that you're not yet. Stop trying to connect infinite dots together and be like, so when I am, like, fully spiritually enlightened, I'll know this and this, and I will be getting downloads like that, and this will be happening like this. It was like, just calm down and just receive what we're giving you as it is. Stop trying to put it in this box of, this is what it will look like when I know this. This is what it will feel like. This is how it will be. So I then decided to pull my angel cards. So I have 2 decks. I have the Ask Your Guides, and I have the Angel Guide Oracle by Kyle Gray. And it's really interesting because this is another example, going back to this surrendering, going back to this self-worth, receiving. I basically asked the cards, what does my spirit guides, my guardian angel, what do you want to tell me about the theme of today, which is about the blocks, about my fear of receiving and feeling worthy enough, about the things I discussed in therapy. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to tell me? And so the first set of cards was very interesting because it told a story. So the first card I got was leadership. Intuitively for me, I've read the little guides with what they say, and a lot of it doesn't, some of it is fitting, but this was a specific message from a specific question I asked. So intuitively, leadership is telling me you have those leadership qualities. You have that sense of leadership